acts like a 5-star book belongs in the same category. And I'm here to tell you, absolutely not. Some 5-star books for me were incredible. Some completely changed how I read. And a few, honestly, make every other 5-star book look average. So today, I'm putting all 32 of my 5-star reads into a tier list in order to figure out which ones actually deserve the title the best of the best. Besties, what's up? My name is Meg. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you've watched me for a while, you've probably figured out that I don't give out 5-star books that often. That definitely wasn't the case. A few years ago, if I had a good time, chances were it would get a 5-star, especially if the book could make me cry. But the more I've read, especially after reading over 100 books in a year, my standards have significantly gotten higher. Now a 5-star book has to do a lot more than just entertain me. It has to leave a mark. It has to make me think about it days later. It has to make me feel something or completely blow me away with the writing, the characters, the world. Something about it has to be exceptional, which means that these 32 books have already survived my pretty high standards. But here's the problem. Just because they're 5 stars doesn't mean they're all equal. Some barely squeaked into the 5-star category. Others live rent-free in my head and have genuinely changed the way that I look at a book. So today we're settling this debate. We're ranking every single one of my 5-star reads from God tier all the way down to just for the vibes. And honestly, I have a feeling I'm gonna make some enemies out of this. So let's get on into it. So we have God tier, which is the toppest tier that we possibly have. Next up, we have 6-star rating. Below that, we have 5-star rating. Below that, we have a 4.75 rating. One that says would probably be lower now. And then finally, we have the vibes. So let's get on into it. I just have these put in randomly. Please ignore the ads the best that they could. I really don't feel like dealing with them, honestly. Just ignore the ads as best you can. First off, we have Redeeming 6. Honestly, when I read this, I was bawling my eyes out pretty hard. I'm gonna give it a 5-star and just keep it at a 5-star. I want to say that it was like perfect for what it was. Next up, we have The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Honestly, when I first rated this 5-star, I loved the way that the writing was. I loved everything about it that way. I think we're gonna give it more. I'm debating between more like a 4.75 to a would be lower now. I liked the writing a lot and I loved the intricacies of that. So I think that we're probably gonna go with, I would say that it would be like a 4.5. So it would probably be lower now. All right, next up is Amid Clouds and Bones. I loved this book. This was one of my first romanticises by Ella Fields that like kind of gave me the wanting for the standalones. So I'm gonna give it a more of like a 4.75. Kingdom of Ash, I have to give God tier. That's just a God tier book for me. Trials of Apollo. Now, this one I remember crying at because I had grown so emotionally invested in one of the characters. So I'm going to give it a would be lower now, just because I feel like it honestly would be lower now because I have read other things. Plus it's a middle grade, but like I don't want to like bash on middle grade because that's not exactly it, but it still was something very well done. A Deal with the Elf King, I'm giving just the vibes because this was my first 5-star rating of this year. Out of the entirety of A Deal with Magic series that I had read, I loved this one probably the most out of all of them. So I'm gonna give it for the vibes. Keeping 13, I'm gonna give 5 stars. Final Offer, I'm gonna give 6 stars. I really connected very well with the main character, Cal. I connected to him very deeply on the part of addiction and everything like that. I have gone through it in my own particular way, not necessarily like the worst that you could have it, but definitely in a way that has impacted me and those around me. So Final Offer was definitely something that was very hard hitting, close to home at the time that I had dealt with my issues. Gleam is God tier. I love that book more than anything in the world. That book is just so emotional. Like, out of all the books in that series, that book by far is my absolute favorite. Next is Goldfinch. I'm gonna give that just 5 stars because I was happy with the way that it had ended. Heartless, we're gonna give, probably would be lower now. I don't necessarily think that it's exactly the way that I would have liked the book to go, but at the time when I had read it, I was really starting to get back into the groove of reading, so it just hit really hard for me at that point in time, but it would probably be lower now. Heat of the Everflame is a 5 star. I loved the writing about it. I loved the plot. I know a lot of people say that Diem is an annoying FMC, but I personally loved her. I loved the bonds that she had. I loved the way that she had gone about everything at that point in time. The Maidens, I'm gonna say, would probably be lower now. I was hit by the plot twist, not gonna lie, but it definitely was something that shocks me in the end. Metal Slinger, I read this within 24 hours. I devoured this book, but I think I was mostly shocked by the plot twist that we never saw coming. And I think that part of it was because that it was an unreliable narrator. So I'm gonna go with a 4.75. I'm gonna go with that. A Court of Mist and Fury has to be 5 star. It has to be. The Poison Daughter, I'm going to give a 5 star because I felt that I loved the emotional depth that our main character went through, along with the relationship that she went through. I have all my thoughts on that video in a previous video that I'll have linked down below, but everything like that. So it's definitely one that I never thought that it would impact me the way that it had. And I loved, honestly, everything about it. So, A Court of Wings and Ruin, I'm gonna have to give it a 4.75 now. At the time, it was a 5 star. A Court of Silver Flames, everyone's gonna hate me for this, but I'm gonna give it a 6 star. People are gonna be like, oh my god, why is it rated like so much further than A Court of Mist and Fury? I am a Nesta girly. I related so hardcore to Nesta as a person who really struggled with their mental health and everything that I found kind of like a sanctuary within Nesta's story and how she became even braver than who she found that she could be. Next, we have Just for the Summer. I'm going to give this a 5 star. I loved the writing. I loved the emotional depth. I loved everything about our main character. I can't remember her name for some reason, but I loved her. I loved the emotional complexities that was with, I believe his name was Justin, if I'm not mistaken. The Savage and the Swan, I'm gonna give a 4.75. Honestly, at the time when I read it, I was going through something kind of in my own head mentally, so I was struggling with everything that way, but it was still a good story nonetheless. I loved everything about it. Wildfire definitely would be lower now. I don't think that I would connect those characters as easily as I had back when I first read them. The Silent Patient, I gotta put it in the 5 star category in order to put it into my God tier. The Silent Patient was the book that got me back into reading. I was completely shocked by this plot twist and everything about it. I love the entirety of that story. That will forever and always be one of my favorite 5 stars that I've ever given, with it also being one of the first 5 stars that I've ever given it. So I love it nonetheless. God of War, I'm going to give a 6-star rating, and that is because I emotionally connected so much to our main female character. For someone who had gone through something so difficult in her life, that it was something that for someone who goes through something so emotionally taxing as a psychosis disorder, it hit really close to home. So it's not necessarily God tier, but it's definitely a 6-star rating. Zodiac Academy, Heartless Sky, I would probably give, what do I want to give it? I think it's worthy of the 5-star read. I think it's definitely worthy of the 5-star read. The Never List, I think, would probably be lower now, especially after I've read the second book, which is The King's List. It's something very taxing. God of Pain, I don't remember exactly why I had given this 5 stars, so I'm gonna just put it for the vibes. Feathers So Vicious, if I'm also completely honest, I don't remember why I'd given this one 5 stars, so I'm also gonna put it there for the vibes. Doesn't necessarily mean that the vibes are bad, but we liked the vibes. This Stand. So I'm going to be so for real right now and give it a 6-star rating. I was completely avoiding this book for the longest time, like, you know, if you've seen the video previously, but I definitely enjoyed it, and it surprised me in the best of way. Empire of Storms, I believe it was a 5-star. Definitely think that it was a 5-star. 5-star worthy. I loved the way that the plot twist at the end had gone about everything. I will forever love this book, but out of my favorite between all of them in the series, Kingdom of Ash will forever maintain my heart. A Stage Set for Villains, I'm gonna give a 6-star, if I'm honest, okay? I loved the way that the book was laid out. I loved everything about it. I think it was great. I honestly don't know what else I could have asked for out of that book. I was honestly genuinely so surprised by this fantasy standalone that I loved it as much as I did. Okay, we are on to our final 2. Two Twisted Crowns, I'm gonna say is more like a 4.75. Like, it's not necessarily a complete 5-star rating, but between the two that were in the duology, it was definitely the better of the one. So I believe that it was really good. Fourth Wing, this was like my intro to fantasy, so I have to give it a 5-star. I just have to. It's something that I loved nonetheless. It's something that made me really fall in love with the idea of the bad boy or the shadow daddy kind of deal. So it's definitely something like that. So there you have it. Well, I definitely wasn't expecting that. I knew putting all of my 5-star reads next to one another would definitely make me have to make some tough decisions, but seeing them all ranked like this really put it into perspective. What surprised me the most was that even though all of these were rated 5 stars, they clearly didn't have the same impact on me looking back at them now. Some were amazing while I read them, but others stayed with me long after I turned the last page. Those are the books that have really earned their place at the top. And honestly, this is a good reminder that my reading tastes have changed over the years. If I did this a few years ago, I'm sure that my answers would look totally different. Now I want to hear from you. What's a book you've recently given 5 stars that would be at your God tier rank? Or if you had to rank all of them by the same categories, do you think you'd be surprised by the outcome too? Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you did enjoy. Do all of the YouTube things you know how to do, like, comment, subscribe, along with following me on all my socials, linked down in the description below. And I will see you in a bit. Bye!